Thank you very much for the introduction. Dear ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my talk with the title Coolant Lubricant Technology 4.0. My name is Peter Lohmann, and I'm working at the AVIA Bantlleon company back in Germany. And who is AVIA Bantlleon? What are we doing? We are producing high-performance lubricants, and the company was founded in 1980 by Hermann Bantlleon, who gave its name to the company. The legal form is a limited company, and our head office is in Germany, in Ulm. We have another branch in the eastern part of Germany called Krimitschau. And our managing director is Herbert Grossman. We have a turnover of about 135 million euros, and that is achieved by a team of about 200 employees. And we have quite a few certificates. I just want to mention the ISO 9001 and the ISO IEC 17025, which is basically a certificate for the lab quality. But we are not only in Germany, we are in Europe, and we're basically all over the world. We have a great network of partners. Let me just show you. Yes, we're in Australia, in Africa, we're in China, and we are as well in Brazil, here in Sao Paulo, with our partner Lubricant. And we're actually operating with these partners all over the world. But now let me come back to my title of the talk. What do I mean with 4.0 technology? Industry 4.0 is a name for the current trend in automation and data exchange in the manufacturing technologies. And this term, 4.0, is originated in Germany. But I use the term to describe future-oriented technologies in general. So, and that's what I want to talk about today. Which path do we have to go with a cooling lubricant in the future? Will there be an intelligent technology? Because in Europe, formaldehyde releaser and other ingredients of water-miscible cutting fluids are in the focus of the current discussion. That means that basically many substances we used to produce the coolant lubricants are categorized in a new way. So let me just give an overview of the boric acid. So in June 2010, the boric acid appeared on the SVHC list of the REACH regulation for the first time, and suddenly, in only a few months later, the boric acid has to be labeled as toxic to reproduction. It's called category 1B. And a few years later, that also happened to mixtures containing 4.5% or more of free boric acid, and they need to be labeled in the same way. Something similar happened to the formaldehyde in 2012. There was a risk assessment committee of the European Chemical Agency, the ECHA, and they reclassified formaldehyde. So it was now classified as carcinogenic and as mutagenic. It was now categorized as a carcinogenic category 1B, so it may cause cancer, and it was classified to mutagenic, and it may cause genetic defects. This is applied to substances with a concentration of more than 0.1% free formaldehyde. And in January 2016, this reclassification of formaldehyde was implemented in the 6th ATP of the CLP regulation. And now we have to label formaldehyde like this. And as I was preparing this talk, I remembered a talk a colleague of mine gave in the beginning of 2016. There he stated that only products with free formaldehyde greater than 0.1% or equal have to be labeled in the future, and that formaldehyde releaser typically contains less than 0.1% of free formaldehyde, and that a reclassification of formaldehyde releaser is currently not to be expected. So what he didn't know at that time was that already in December 2015, the ARC agreed to a proposal made by Austria to classify 3 formaldehyde releaser. As they are a little bit tongue twisting, I just call them MBO, HPC, HPT, and MBM. And these 3, very important. We use, for example, we use the MBO as the most formaldehyde releaser in our company. We also use the HPT, but we don't use the MBM. These 3 formaldehyde releaser came into the focus now. And in October 2016, the REACH committee already updated their CLP regulation, and in May of this year, so pretty new and fresh, the 10th ATP was published, and there the 3 formaldehyde releaser were classified identical to formaldehyde itself. So to carcinogenic category 1B and to mutagenic category 2. So what does this mean now? And how does this new classification affect the cooling lubricant technology in Europe and worldwide? As I said, the 10th ATP was published in May, and only 20 days after the publication of the 10th ATP, this ATP is taking effect. So in 18 months after taking effect of the 10th ATP, we have to follow the obligation for indication. So that means that until December 2018, there is time to switch to formaldehyde releaser-free products. Having a look at the final consequences of the new classification, what we have to do is we have to do a risk assessment for carcinogenic substances. We have to follow special safety precautions, including a workplace measurement and separation of hazardous areas. And we need to have a complete documentation according to hazardous substance law with a 40-year period of retention. And that's the way we don't want to go. So our goal is, or I think it's not just a goal, we will do this, that the Bantleon will be free of formaldehyde releaser products until December 2018. As we don't go that way with the formaldehyde release and all this legislation stuff, we will rather focus on new or alternative technologies. For example, the boron and the amine-free technology. It's already on the market for 25 years, on the European market, which is an advantage because it's actually it's an old and useful technology, because it can be used for the most applications and is very often a good choice when multi-metal machining is needed. As well, it's also a good choice when a customer observes skin irritation issues or when staining sensitive materials have to be machined. There are also limits with this technology, for example, for grinding applications, and a little bit of a higher level of maintaining is required. We're also going with the technology of free formaldehyde releases, and free of formaldehyde itself, of course. That was already established in 1997 when France strictly regulated the use of formaldehyde and formaldehyde releasing products. What can we use instead? We can use isothiasolinones and alcohols, for example, the phenoxyethanol, as an alternative biocidal component. This is very often used already, and if these isothiasolinones are not accepted, more lipophilic amines can be used. For example, the dicyclohexylamine. Or we can use high pH products with pH values up to 10. This is very useful for materials made of steel and cast, and it showed so far a good protection against bacterial development. In practice, this very often goes together with an optimized corrosion protection, and we could achieve long service life even under extreme environmental conditions. For non-ferrous materials like aluminum alloys or for copper metals, a technology with a moderate pH level have proven successful. And we can use, in future, we can use the existing experience of the boron and amine-free cooling lubricant technology. Another advantage of becoming formaldehyde-free is that the skin compatibility has been checked and already confirmed. So, but what does it mean for my process chain? Introducing a new cooling lubricant and implement it in a complex process. Of course, we will make some changes here in the beginning, and what we have to do then is, okay, we have to check quite a few things. We have to check, for example, if it's also suitable for the mixing solution, for the mixing system. For example, has it the same cooling effect or the foaming behavior? And all these different things and more have to be checked to use or implement the new formaldehyde-free cooling lubricants. So I showed you quite a few options or possibilities, old and new ideas for cooling lubricants in the future, and that these new products, they can be implemented into existing processes. But as we not only have national hazard regulations, but also European and global regulations. We have the GHS system. We have Europe, the REACH, the CLP, and the biocide regulation, and also federal institutes who all regulate the substances that we use in coolant lubricants. So we think that this is basically, it's going to be hard, but I think we're going to make it. We think that, or we can already see it, that the formulation of cooling lubricants is and will be significantly influenced by the regulatory framework, and that the selection of suitable raw materials is expected to be further restricted, and that cooling lubricants are likely to be more and more subject to labeling requirements. This is a challenge, but I think we're on a good way. So let me just quickly summarize. So we have 3 important formaldehyde releases were classified in May 2017. Within 18 months, we have to follow the obligation of indication starting in December 2018. With the whole complete documentation process according to the hazardous substance law, with a 40 years period of retention, we, the company Bantleon and many other companies, will give up on using formaldehyde releaser in the future and will focus on new technologies in the future as well. Thank you very much.